So, thank you again for joining us today. My name is Michaela Baruch, and I am the head of education here at Ozobot. I am thrilled to be joined today by two educators who are at the forefront in the field of bringing robotics to bilingual education. Our guests today are Robert Stone and Jesus Huerta. They're both multilingual education experts based in Calexico, California. Robert Stone is an instructional coach at Blanche Charles Elementary School. With over 20 years in Calexico education, Robert moved from biliterate third grade teacher to instructional coach. He supports inclusive multilingual instruction using sports, arts, and technology. His use of Ozobots boosts student engagement and success on assessments like the ELPAC and the SBAC. He is passionate about designing fun, purposeful lessons. Jesus Huerta is an instructional technology coach in the Calexico Unified School District. As a district technology coach, Jesus empowers K-12 educators and students through 3D printing, VR, and game design. A certified Apple and Google educator and Q Leroy Finkel honoree, he believes everyone can learn and personalize technology. Grounded in equity and creativity, he fosters a culture where innovation and student well-being go hand in hand. And with that, I will hand it over to Jesus and Robert.
Okay, so good afternoon. Thank you guys for being here. Looking at everybody's chat, looks like some of you are in different time zones, some are similar time zones. So if you're just getting off of work, just getting in, getting coffee, we have that here too. We just want to thank you for being here, and we really want to share what we've done here in Calexico, what we are planning on doing, and how Ozobot has helped us along that way.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Stone, originally from the border between Tijuana and San Diego. And then about 23 years ago, I was hired in Calexico, California, where I've been here for 23 years. I am very passionate, particularly of best practices that make it easier and engaging for our students and easier and engaging for our teachers. So thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert. So this is a breakdown of what we're going to talk about. We're going to do a bit of an introduction, a little bit more than what we talked about right now, talk about the background and context of what we're going to talk about today, our methodology, the results, some data, implementation details, impact and implications, conclusion, and then call to action. In some of this, you're going to see what we've done and also give you some tips on how you guys can get started, because we know that technology in the classroom, not that it's frowned upon, but sometimes it's seen as, oh, it's a toy. And you're going to hear us refer to our technology as tools, because really that's how we see it. Yes, it's fun, but it's a tool that we can use to enhance our teaching skills. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So for us, one of the reasons that we jumped in with Ozobots is we were already not hitting the wall, but we were used to our greatest hits in ELA and ELD. And we wanted to see how can we enhance this. And this is where Robert was already using Ozobots, and myself as a technology coach came in, and we just started just working together, talking about how can we leverage this tool that is easy to use, but can go a long way. It's easy to pick up. Not that it's impossible to master, but there's so much there, it's going to take you a long time to master it. And so that's what we did. And so for us, it's been a sea change in how we have students interact with each other and also how they're learning.
Yes. If we look at the picture, we see the collaboration happening between 4 students. This particular group of students are third graders, where out of the 24 students, we have only 2 students that came into the class with a mastery of the English language. And then 22 students that are in the process of developing the language. So integrating the Ozobots with grade level ELA and ELD standards has been a game changer. So it is important to mention that the particular teacher that opened the door for me was very kind, very ready to learn, but at the same time, traditional. And when I mean traditional, it has to do with best practices that came with the Common Core, which is critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and close reading, inquiry process. So like for me, I asked for the opportunity to try Ozobots inside the classroom and then integrating the ELA and ELD standards with questions and answers. So I feel blessed because I was not the techie person before Ozobots. I became techie during COVID-19, just with your basic internet, laptop, Zoom, Google Slides, just the basic components. But with the Ozobots, then this gave me an opportunity to also be a learner with the students. And we really did wonders. If you want to go to the next slide, Mr. Huerta. So just the background and context. Even though we started using Ozobots with third graders, now because we have the results from last year, that particular group of students did very well, not just in the testing part, but in the area of wanting to be in school, wanting to learn side to side with their teachers and peers. And our school site is a high poverty area. We have about 410 students, K through 6. Around 96% of them are multilingual learners. About 70% have not passed the English tests that are required by the state in order for them to be reclassified as fluent English proficient. And most of them start with a level 1 in kindergarten. And as an overload site, being at the border, the school also enrolls many migrant and displaced students. And we've noticed that in the past 2 years, our population has changed. So creating dynamic and a diverse learning environment is crucial for us. That not that the students are learning, but that the students are mastering with smiles and enjoying the process of reading, writing, and the integrated content areas. So the methodology, the big idea is that Ozobots are integrated into the lesson design. So I'll give you an example. We've covered in third grade, and of course these standards they are elastic, so they can go from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. But in this particular case, we started with the main idea. So we found at that moment, and here's another confession that I will make. At that moment, I was not adept with artificial intelligence. So today, my teaching has evolved thanks to the AI. But at that moment, we selected an Ozobot article that was designed by Grand Canyon University. It was the only one that we found in the net. So it was a college article that really described what the Ozobots were about. So the students did a close reading with that. And the main idea was to please tell us what the Ozobot is and describe 3 key details about how it works in the classroom. So students were able to, with the support of the teacher, they played with the Ozobots, and then they were able to answer the main idea, the key details, and then wrapping up a conclusion. So we incorporate all 4 language domains. The lesson connects to the theory and practice, and every single student was able to participate, not just with the hands-on activities that come with the Ozobots and everything that the Ozobot company offers, but also in our sense, in our responsibility is connecting the ELA and the ELD standards. So we had a very fun last year. It was a lot of opportunity for experimenting. Last year we obtained the results. We did very good on the state tests, but I think this year it was very fluid, and I think it has to do, in my case, I learned how to integrate in a more precise fashion, so the students were not as bored, and the lessons are flowing. And most of the lessons that I delivered were 3rd through 5th grade lessons.
So right here, you're going to see a few slides that talk about how we see integrating Ozobots. And yeah, so it's something that, like I said, it's easy to use. If you've ever used Ozobots, you just pick them up, turn them on, start using markers, and they move. Now, that can go from something as simple as, hey, everybody, learn the codes by heart. Okay, let's stand up and recite them. Okay, everybody, you're in charge of learning these codes and so on. Just that in itself is already a speaking, note-taking, and presenting lesson. And it's just getting them to be proficient and master how to use the Ozobots. But something that I love about them is we can start here with the pencil, with the pens and markers and paper, but after that, you can code them with your screen. And that's something that I mentioned to a teacher, and they're like, wait, I can still use them because I love them. And I thought I'd already like mastered them. And that's something that I love. This is one of my favorite tools for that reason, because it's one of those that, again, you just kind of sneaks up on you. Like, you're like, okay, I think I'm done with it. And it's like, nope, guess what? We got another layer for you. And so you're going to see a lot of photos. These are a couple of our students, super happy to use them. But for us, the reason that we want to integrate something like Ozobots or other pieces of tech is something that Mr. Stoll mentioned earlier. He said traditional. I don't think of it as traditional. I think of it as best practices. There's teaching that just never will go out of style, which is sentence starters, creating that structure, putting vocab words that they might need to see again to remember what it means because they're struggling with the language or they're still learning it. But I'll use an analogy that I've used before, which is if you're meal prepping and you're looking to eat, broccoli and chicken, I can just boil that chicken, boil that broccoli, and I got a meal. And that's what we're delivering to students, something that they need to eat, something that's good for them. But guess what? I can make it more enticing if I sprinkle something on top of it. Let me add some pepper, some salt, some other, exotic spices. Now my meal prep has gone from something that, okay, I have to eat it to I want to eat it and it's good for me. And that's what embedding technology does. Embedding innovative teaching does. Do you have to have an Ozobot in order to do innovative teaching? No. You just have to do something different. But we've noticed when the kids are doing something, discussing it with others, or creating, it really makes the learning stickier. And again, so this goes along with what we said right now. You're going to hear teachers say, oh, they're just playing with it. But if they learn this, when it's time for them to move on to fifth, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, where they're using an MBot, or they're using a Sphero, or they're using another kit like a Vex robot where they're building it, it's not as foreign. They're like, I've used robots in the past. You know what? I know what to do here. I know how to troubleshoot this. And again, for them, it's play. It might look like play, but we know they're doing something. They're using a tool that's really connecting to those real life skills, which as we move forward with AI, I think in the background, we need to really start thinking, how are we going to have them understand true computer systems and how files work, coding works, and such. For example, I'll mention that earlier, we had some people visit some of our sites, and one teacher mentioned, you know what? These kids don't know what file types are. They don't know that I have to convert this from this file to another type in order to be able to manipulate it, say, in Photoshop. Or if I want to 3D print this, I can't put the model file on the printer and tell it to run. I have to convert it into the code that it understands. And so by introducing this at a young age, it really gets them ready and allows them to see really what the future holds for them. And these are soft skills that you're not going to teach them in any textbooks. They have to see it. And with so much tech around them in their lives, it doesn't really make sense not to teach without tech.
Yes. Can you go back for a second, Mr. Huerta?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One of the strategies that has worked for me is the idea of unstructured experiences before going into the structured lesson that includes the standard, the objective, and the end product. So it depends on the time of the day. And I will give you an example that we used today, even though it wasn't with the Ozobots. You were in there, Mr. Huerta. We did it with closed circuit, as the kids these are fourth grade kids that are learning about electricity and how the closed circuit works. So they need the copper wires, they need the light bulb, and they need the battery. So on Friday, when we taught that lesson, it was more of the sentence frames and how the kids were coming up with their hypothesis, their prediction of the scientific process. So they did a lot of reading, thinking, and writing. And then they went into the actual structure, the unstructured activity. So in this case, in the Ozobots, there were moments that you saw a few slides ago, the activity was matching vocabulary. So the vocabulary comes directly from the Ozobots lessons and the Ozobot codes. So for example, the Ozobot can make a right turn, a left turn. It could go speed of fast, nitro, slow. The directionality vocabulary words that the students were going to learn before introducing the vocabulary, they played with the actual Ozobots for a little bit. After playing with the Ozobots in an unstructured fashion, the kids, in a way, they're emptying the cup. They are releasing their energy. And once we close that activity, they are ready to learn about how reading and writing takes place. So like coding robots, vocabulary is best taught this way. Students explore first, and then the teacher follows with a structured lesson to reinforce the learning. So it is a little bit of time consuming. It is time consuming, but the lesson is designed right after they have played and thinking about those ELD and ELA standards that they have to master at the end of the year. But once the kids learn more about the Ozobots and more about the English language, they actually want to complete the paragraph or wherever they are at. If they're just writing the sentences, well, they are completing a complete sentence. If they're writing the paragraph, then they're completing the paragraph. And for the kids that have mastered both, then we up the vocabulary with more rigorous vocabulary.
And just to add, because I know, Mr. Lin, you're going to talk right here at this slide, he mentioned something about time. You might say, wow, I got to put in a lot of time for them to learn X, Y, or Z tool that you have access to, for example, the Ozobots. But I noticed that starting off the school year, introducing different tools allowed me to deploy it when I needed it or when I wanted to use it, because the kids already knew how to use it. So if I'm using Ozobots, if I'm using 3D printing, if I'm using drones, yeah, I'm letting them play with it and learn how to handle it. I might add a little bit of writing as a reflection because I'm like, look, right here, my focus is training them how to use this tool. You might say, well, I don't know if I can give up 30 minutes one day. Guess what? Those 30 minutes are going to pay off because going forward, you're not investing those 30 minutes anymore. You're like, all right, guys, today I want you to shoot a video, but you got to implement the drone. You remembered how to use it. Okay, this kid's struggling. I remember, Mr. Stone, one of my students, Robert. Hey, Robert, can you go help them? Now he's getting stronger in his speaking skills because he's going to go explain how to use it. So if you're like, you know what, I don't know if I have the time, trust me, it's worth it because those 30 minutes are going to pay off the rest of the year. If you start off in September, you got all those months that you're going to implement it and be able to use it. And how many times have you been, it's raining outside, it's too hot outside. Oh, what can I have them do? Guess what? They already know how to use it. Boom. You're going to be able to implement something really quickly. I'm sorry. There you go, Mr. Stone. I just wanted to add that.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful. So this particular group of students are fourth graders. And this is a lesson that I started last year, but now it became more powerful for different reasons. One of the reasons is that some of the students, in my school, I'm an instructional coach. But this year, 50% of my job, I was assigned, they changed my job description to ELD teacher, the teacher of the designated ELD. So the students from last year, or at least half of the students that were already knowledgeable in regards to Ozobots, and of course, knowledgeable in regards to how Mr. Stone thinks highly of his students, I had another opportunity to dive deeper into Ozobots. So this is the vocabulary that you see here in this picture. The vocabulary is include, divided, educational, essential, navigate, path, main, perform, directionality, and tiny. So the students in this particular activity, they have to match the word to the definition. And it's like a deconstruction of a close reading article. This one was not obtained from the internet. This one was created with artificial intelligence. So I was telling the chat bot, could you please describe the following robot? And I talked to the AI back and forth until we obtained a passage that was approximately 800, 900 lexile. So for the fourth graders, even though the majority of these fourth graders are reading at a 300, 400 lexile, because they are intermediate in their language skills, so they have not mastered the language, it was still a 400 lexile above their level in English. In Spanish, some of them have a stronger lexile level, but the big idea here is that it's the Ozobot that made the difference, because the students were able to relate the directionality of the Ozobot. So I said, Mr. Stone, what does this directionality means? Well, directionality, let's use your body. Directionality is that you're moving where? You're moving to the left. You're moving to the right. You're north, south, east, west. So where's the Ozobot is moving in what direction? Oh, so they would say, oh, the Ozobot just made a right turn. So from the actual playing time that was structured, because they have to use the particular color codes as we're delivering the lessons. Now they don't have the Ozobots in front of them. You can see in the picture, they have the actual vocabulary. So that this is another thing that has worked for me, and it has worked even more for the students, is that we complete the activity. Each activity we complete about 4 to 8 times during the year. So we teach some lessons in a repeated fashion, but the student is able to master the content because they have less content to worry about, but it's going deeper in their brain. So it is for me, it is important to say that they see the vocabulary through Google Slides. They see the vocabulary when they're working with the Ozobots, because when I'm asking them the questions and they're answering, they have to use that specific vocabulary. Then they use the vocabulary. They saw the vocabulary during the pre-test, which most of the kids, we had like a 20% average between third, fourth, and fifth grade. And during the post-test, we had an 80% correct. So that tells me that the students master those particular vocabulary words. Okay, so the Ozobot becomes more than a tool. It's a bridge to mastering English while strengthening the language, the creativity, and coding fluency, empowering them to navigate an increasingly digital world. I know that this is my next step, and this is where my and I hope that you continue to support me, Mr. Huerta. Mr. Huerta is our technology coach at the district, and he's very kind to me in regards to taking risks. So I think that in my regards, for this particular group of students, the next step is going to be the actual computer science coding with the actual blocks, because now they're going to be able to transfer that knowledge from the codes and the markers into a computer science course. But because they already have a lot of knowledge from the basic Ozobot codes with colors and the words that come with it, so that'll be the question. Like, I know that'll be like my next step to take them to the next level. I don't know if is this
and that's exactly how you're going to code them, Mr. Stone. So if you've ever used Scratch, even Scratch Junior uses block coding, Spheros, like the Tello drones, A lot of them start with that block coding because each block has what the language says in the script. For example, if you're using JavaScript or Python, you type a bunch of lines. What those blocks do is they compress all that into one block. So you just put it there for move in this direction. This other block says how fast. Like Mr. Stone says, he's ready to move on. That's exactly how he's going to code these. He's going to use block coding. And I think one of the cool aspects is, if you can see me on the screen, they actually take their Ozobot, and I'm trying to find something to put on the screen, and you hold it up onto the screen, and those lights will flash and give the code over to the Ozobot. And so that's one way that it can be programmed. And so the kids are still going to do something different than with any other robot that I've seen. And again, he's ready to move on. Now, does that mean every child that comes in brand new is going to jump straight into block coding? No, that's something we've discussed. He's going to always start with the color coding because he wants to gradually progress them up higher and higher. And that's something that definitely I agree with, which is the progression type system.
Mr. Huerta, do you know if we can you go back for a second? Do you know if we can play the video?
This child right here?
Yeah. No.
Says I need...
we can come back at the end. So carry on if you want.
Okay. Yeah, I think you have it on your drive, but I don't have access to share it. But so here
carry
we go.
on.
Okay. So what we're going to look at next is some data, talking about the growth that we've seen. Now, again, you might say, we're in the process of getting new equipment like Ozobots and so on. But really what we're seeing, and we're seeing this throughout our district, we have other teachers that may not have access to the same equipment, but they're just trying different things that they think the kids will be excited about. And so this is what we've seen here, but this is something that Mr. Stone has been working on for the last couple of years. Now, that doesn't mean it'll take you 2 years. Looking at what we're talking about here, reaching out to others that have done something similar, reaching out to Ozobot, to Mr. Stone, there's certain, I don't want to say traps or pitfalls, but certain things that you can avoid to get to where we're getting the results we're getting. And that's a good thing to do. And that's something we're going to mention in the future. Later on in the slideshow is reach out to those that you see are doing those things and ask. You'd be surprised how many are just willing to share resources with you. Just, hey, here you go. And just having a conversation with you. So that way you could say, you know what? I didn't know how to get started. Now I know it's not so bad. And so what we're going to look at right here is our data. Mr. Stone, if you can go ahead and break this down for us.
Yeah, so in California, we have mandatory high stakes tests. And in grades 3rd, 4th, and 6th, we have the SBAC ELA and we have the SBAC mathematics. And in 5th grade, we have SBAC ELA, SBAC mathematics, and SBAC science, the CAST. For all English language learners, we have the LPAC, ELPAC. So it's an English language proficiency assessment. And of course, for us, it's always about first the child, right? I think that we do have an outstanding community that cares for the whole child before any tests. If the child is not does not want to come to school and is not feeling comfortable in school, so it's not going to be a process of drilling the standards so they can pass the assessment. They're children, so we have routines in place, and we have been successful in the past. But since COVID, of course, we took, just like the rest of our state, we took a dip in the different testing, high stakes tests. But in 2022, we increased to 10%, and we were able to get the highest possible mark for English language learners. So that was, I think that's a great accomplishment, that we have an increment of 10%. The following year, which was last year, we increased 5%. Now, those particular students, the ones that use Ozobots, they increase about 12%. This increase of 5% is more of a school-wide, but I can tell you that 80% of the kids that use the Ozobots, and we use the sentence frames, and we use the closed reading activities, and the think, pair, share, anything that has to do with the Ozobots integrated to the standards, 80% of those students moved up in this particular assessment. And I can tell you right now that the students that didn't make the mark, which is they have to score a level 4 to be reclassified so they can exit the category of English language learner. I can tell you that, again, 80% of those students are going to meet the mark. And what we're hoping for is that at least 40% of them will be reclassified. Now, the goal for this year, because if you notice, we went from blue to green in the state because we did not increase the 10%, but we're still at 60% of the ELLs making progress. Our goal now is 20% of the students. So we can go back to the blue, where this is a pretty ambitious goal, but I know we're going to be happy if there's anything above the 5% from last year. And I know our principal is going to be fine in regards to at least a 5% increment, because we know it's doable. We know it's doable. Now, for the kids, we don't have the numbers for the kids that have the category already of reclassified student, or the students that are English only. But that's going to be the next step for myself, and hopefully for Mr. Huerta, is creating those environments where it's not just for the multilingual learners, but that one is a little bit more rigorous, and also the teachers are a little bit more, they're gonna hold on to the standards, and they might not allow us immediately to go in there, but I think that will be the next step to broaden our spectrum in regards to the use of the Ozobots in our school site. Carry on.
Okay. All right, just checking a couple of things in the chat. Go ahead.
All right. So, thinking of in our schools, in our district, we have an initiative that is called AVID, which stands for, it's spelled A-V as in Virginia, I-D, and it stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So a lot of our professional development at the beginning of the year and during the summer is it's through the AVID coursework. Now, this particular research comes from that AVID coursework, but I'm connecting it to what we're doing with the Ozobots in our class. So this particular research talks about if students, the qualitative data, are students completing their work? Are they paying attention? Are they responding to questions? Are they working with others when directed? Are they asking questions? Are they feeling learning is important? Are they sharing the ideas? So the bold words, we've been very precise, and we've been on target in those areas. The areas that we need to grow on they have to do with, do we follow the student interests? Are we setting goals for the individual kids? Are we seeking feedback from them and vice versa? And are we incorporating the self-assessment? I think we're not there yet, like as a school when using the Ozobots, but we are collaborating towards a shared goal and challenging each other to drive improvement. So in the qualitative data, that's why our administration allows us to work with the actual Ozobots, and kind of like Mr. Huerta is saying, that it looks like they're playing, but in reality, the data is telling us that students are engaged. So that's from the qualitative data. From the quantitative data, we can tell you that 90% of the students using the Ozobots are engaged 95% of the time across the lessons. The pre-assessment I mentioned before, 40% vocabulary knowledge in under 5 minutes. So those words that we saw that have to do with rigorous vocabulary that is grade level and that is related to Ozobots, at the end of the unit, 85% of the kids knew the vocabulary. That is amazing, because you're probably, I hope you agree with me, or I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but when you give vocabulary, either we know it or we don't know it, right? Either it has to be under those 5 minutes. Either you know the vocabulary, you don't know the vocabulary. Can you apply the vocabulary, or can you just tell me the definition? And can you apply the vocabulary in other content areas? So our students did wonderful there. 131 speaking, the writing LPAC. So the pre-assessment, this was probably the hardest. This is the hardest for myself and for our students. We started, most of our level 3 students were writing 1 or 2 sentences, and they need to write 5 outstanding complex sentences to pass the summative assessment. So taking them from 1 or 2 sentences to writing 3 to 5 sentences on their own, that we met the 75% meeting standards. We were successful, but that was definitely the hardest part for myself, teaching that writing and ensuring that the authentic writing was a success. And then the LPAC summative from 55 to 60%. And then, like I said before, with that 3rd grade class, it was 22 to 24 students. And then the iBrady scores, that's another wonderful assessment that we have. 80% of all the students in the current classes where I'm using Ozobots, they gained a 1 grade level of reading level. So if their Lexile level was at 400, now they're at 500. If their Lexile level was at, many of them were at BR too, like between the BR and the 200, they were able to gain a whole grade level. And I have the evidence of that data. And we're very proud of. Now, I just want to remind you, these were the level 3 students. So I asked the administration if I can work with this particular group of students, because they haven't mastered the language, but they're only 1 level away. So next year, I don't know if I'm going to be asked to do the same type of lesson delivery with the level 1s and 2s, but I know that half of these students were level 1 and 2 last year. So that's a great accomplishment.
Okay, so next what we want to talk about in the next few minutes, and then we'll have time for some questions, is, how do we implement this? So, how do we get started? What are some challenges? What are some like aha moments for us? How can we, how can you get started? And what are things wish we knew before that? And so we found something that excited students. We knew they wanted to learn about technology. And so we found these robots that really, they're not intimidating. They're fun looking, they're cute, they're little. But once we got more familiar with them, we're like, whoa, there's a lot of room for growth here with this, particular piece of equipment. And so again, you might say, I'm interested in robots, or maybe you're interested in drones. Find one that you're like, you know what? This is not intimidating for myself and for students. And work with other teachers. Ask your partners, your colleagues, hey, your 5th grade team, hey, you know what? I'm going to go check these out from our tech department. You know what? Why don't we work on it together? Let's get together on a Saturday morning. I'm going to borrow it, take it home. Why don't we get together, have some breakfast, some coffee? Maybe we can learn about it together. Things like that. And it's easier to work on these things when you have a team, not just by yourselves. But sometimes it's only you by yourselves, and that's okay. But you can collaborate with others online also. Challenges. Again, you're a teacher. We're teachers. We know it doesn't end when the kids go home at 2:50, 3:10, 3:05. There's grading, there's phone calls home, there's our lives at home, and so on. So it can be hard to create that time or to plan a lesson. Again, ask others for help. Hey, how do you get started? Oh, okay, it's not that hard to get started. You might look at it and go, I don't even know how to turn it on. lessons. There's tons of resources online at the Ozobot website. Go there and just implement that. You don't have to create that first lesson on your own. You can just go and try it out and see what's the reaction from your students. And then when's the best time? Look, a lot of people wait for Fridays. Don't wait for Friday. Why does it have to be Fun Friday? Why can't it be Monday morning? As soon as they walk in, hey, what's this on my desk? Oh, those are Ozobots. We're going to learn about this. Think about it. If you've never done that, how much will it blow their minds to start with something Monday morning or the first week of school doing that? My classroom, when I had a fifth and sixth grade classroom, was basically a makerspace. They'd walk in, they'd see little 3D printed nameplates because I had the roster already. Go find your seats, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And I had printers running, and the first thing out of their mouths was, "Oh, so we're gonna use like what, like right around Christmas time because that's because in their heads they're like, oh, that's the only time we do different things, cool things, fun things." And I told them I thought by Friday you guys would be 3D printing, but I told them I can wait a few months if you want, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, 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 no." The sooner we implement it, the sooner they're gonna be ready because they're ready right now, guys. If you have these and you're like, man, they're in a box in my storage room, I'm afraid to take them out. Just do it. Trust me. You will love the reaction from your students. Um, yeah, you might catch some heat from other teachers that go, oh, they're just playing. Again, they don't understand what you're doing, so they're gonna criticize it. But don't be mad at them. Bring them into it and say, hey, you know what? Hey, you want to see what I'm doing? Check these out. They're not that hard to use. And look what my kids are doing. Take pictures and video. There's nothing more valuable than that type of evidence, especially for those that are in doubt and would rather criticize than try to learn about it. Aha moments. Guess what? Not as easy. It's not as hard as you thought to get started. The engagement part is huge because that opens their minds to allow everything else that we really want them to learn to fall in. Just start using them. My rule is when I implement a new piece of tech, they just play with it. Okay, here's the 3D printers. I want you guys to pick something that you found online or make your own thing and let's just print it. I don't even make a lesson out of it. I do some reflecting just to get a little bit of academic stuff out of it. But really, how many times have you told students, hey guys, look at this shiny thing, but we're gonna learn history with it. They already, they're gonna slump in their seats. Instead of go, oh, hey, figure out how to fly this thing. Figure out how to drive this thing. How do I print something? Okay. They're gonna be like, okay, where's the hook to get me to learn with it? But once you implement a lesson with that piece of equipment, guess what? I would always tell students, oh, I'm gonna trick you into learning math better, how to write better, and so on. And the way I would quote unquote trick them is I would use these tools as a way to make the learning just better. It's the only way I can put it. And so again, find that piece of equipment, start using it, and implement it in your classroom and invite others. Now, if you have a makerspace, another thing that I want to mention, because that's something I specialize in, is makerspace design, implementation, deployment. Don't go into a makerspace and go, I have to learn all this stuff. Or they bought drones, these robots, spheros, Ozobots, they got some, other stuff. Just learn one. And then when you're ready, move on. Okay. And so things that we wish we knew before, ask for help. There might be somebody at your side like, oh yeah, I know how to use those. They just don't tell anybody because they're used to getting criticized. Ask, hey, do we have a educational technology department? And ask them for help. You're not gonna get it right the first time. You're gonna fall on your face. Guess what? That makes you more human to some of these kids, and they're gonna be happy to see that, you know what, you're not perfect. It's okay that you're not perfect. I misspell words all the time. The kids figured out by, December, Mr. Huerta's not that good at spelling. And I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I became kind of a bad speller or not as good a speller as I became a teacher. I think because I'm in a rush to write things down. And I would tell the kids, oh yeah, I did it so I could see if I could catch you guys, if you know how to spell these words. But really it's because I just made a mistake. It's okay. Make those mistakes because the kids will go with you and go, don't worry. And they're going to want to help you get better with this tech. Okay. Each year you're going to improve. So keep at it. It takes time and don't stress out. And again, don't think you have to do this, 3-week long project. No, hey, just use it one day. Once you're comfortable with it, expand on it or move on to the next one, but only when you feel ready. Okay. Impact and implication. So yes, it's not that hard to make more of an impact. It's really just implementing one or two different changes. Again, look for that tool that's going to be easy to jump into, but you can do all these awesome things with it beyond just the beginner steps. Something that's simple and complex at the same time. Yeah, that's Ozobots. They're easy to pick up. They're not intimidating, easy to turn on, easy to program. But once I'm ready, like Mr. Stone said, he's ready. Now I can use block coding. Now these kids have seen it and said, oh, I can't never do that. Wait a minute. That's the same as the lines I was doing? Yes. And guess what? They're going to jump into it. And so call to action, how to get started. Really, it's very similar to what I mentioned earlier. Find someone at your site, ask them for help, ask around, go online, use YouTube. YouTube is the ultimate learning resource. I still use it right now. I got my son a different kind of 3D printer for his birthday. I never really used it. I kind of messed with it 5 years ago. Guess what? That's what helped me for us to both understand how to use it. And really, it's just getting started. Ask for support. Even if it's not someone that knows how to use it, learn along with a colleague because you guys are going through the same thing. It makes it easier when you have those mistakes. It's also easier to point out a solution to that mistake. And they don't have to be necessarily the same grade level. It could just be someone at your site that's interested in the same thing. Be patient with yourself. We're patient with students, but sometimes we're mad at ourselves that we don't understand something the first time we try it. Or, you know what, these robots don't turn on. Maybe you didn't turn on the charger and they didn't charge. Or, you know what, you forgot to turn on Bluetooth and so on. And so, again, get that support. Support others. Once you have a better understanding of it, go ahead and share what you know. And in conclusions, they need more than just great academic content. They need something more that connects to real world skills. And you'll get that by implementing technology, especially something like a Ozobot. STEAM-related content is great because it allows you to blend so many different content standards into one project that it actually creates more time for you. Start with something easy and versatile. And again, you're not alone on this. So with that, let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. We have time for Q&A. Right on time.
Hello, I'm sorry. Have a great day.
Oh, no problem. So Michaela, did you have questions from the chat that you got, or do you want us to open it up to the chat?
I don't have any questions from the chat. So folks, you're welcome to unmute and ask any questions that you have in person, or if you prefer to enter them in the chat now would be a wonderful time to do so. We'll just use some adequate teacher wait time.
But this was great. I appreciated the PD. So I do love Ozobots, and I was trying to find out different ways to reach my English language learners. So this was another good way to be able to do so. You did give me a better avenue, another way to reach them, and also make fun learning. So I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you for being here and doing what you do for your little ones.
Oh, my pleasure. They are the future, so that's what we here to do.
So, Mr. Stone, how long was each lesson? Or how, because I know so Mr. Stone has students that he pulls out in groups. How long is each period with those students?
So I have 3 groups of students for 45 minutes per day. So they have to come in. I do the opening routine. We get into the standards, right? And then we close the lesson. So it's a 45-minute lesson. What's neat about it, it's like what I was saying earlier, is that sometimes they come in and the Ozobots are ready for them to play. So, like you mentioned, like if it's a Monday morning, they play with them the 15 minutes. If I have a goal for them or an objective with the Ozobots, like using 2 codes, for example. And then from there, they have to go into their close sentences and complete the activity. And then at moments, it all depends of how the students are behaving and how they're responding towards the actual content. So usually what a unit is for me, it's a 3 to 4 week unit.
And that's what I was gonna say
yeah,
also. So, don't try to lock it into, okay, this Friday I'm doing one lesson and I need to knock it out in 45 minutes, 30 minutes. Instead, say, what do I want the kids to achieve? For example, one that Mr. Stone and I have been bouncing around, Michaela, I think you're gonna like this one, is can they accurately measure the Ozobot and design a little hat that it can wear with an animal that they designed on top? And then they talk about the animal, and then they kind of mingle each other, the animals, and which animals should be near each other. So they have to know their animal. So now we're sneaking in that science lesson. And so that's not going to be done in one day. It's not even probably going to be done in 1 week, especially if they need training like in Tinkercad. The 3D printing part, that's up to Mr. Stone and myself, which we know what to do there. And so, yes, that's something that I would try to aim for is what do I want to accomplish? Don't think of it as, well, I only got 30 minutes. Say, you know what? This is going to take me 90 minutes. So it's going to take me 3 days. Is it going to take me 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Because how much time can I dedicate each week?
Mr. Huerta,
Mhm.
there's a question about the sentence frames.
Mhm.
So in the chat, I shared a document with all of you. I have to tell you, it was created by AI, but I did tell AI exactly what to do. So Ms. Baruch will be the judge of that. She's gonna say, let's see how is this how Ozobot get described or not? Could you open it for us, and then I can talk a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. And then if we
Mr.
have
Stone, there's another question. Do you meet with them every day?
I do, and here's a tricky part for us program improvement schools. This is a challenge. Is that there are about 8 initiatives going on at the same time that they're all competing with one another. So when we don't have an assembly or a professional development or another professional development or a PVIS or we name it, my substitute does when I'm at all these meetings. But the lessons that I deliver, it has taken me a long time to get here, but it's exactly what they need from the previous day. So if you look at this particular one, so this one is for 2nd to 3rd grade, and the idea is that vocabulary, the one that I was talking about. So look, there's even that particular spelling. So we start with directionality. So Ozobots are tiny. And so you're gonna give me the test right now, right? Does the teacher know the test? Ozobots are tiny robots that move using special codes, making them both an educational and engaging tool for learning about technology. These codes are divided into 3 different sections: speed codes, directionality codes, and special movement codes. Here we go. So we have that now. This is 2nd and 3rd grade, but the question could be, what if they're not writing complete sentences? Then what I would do is that I would go back to my foundational skills and I would do simple sentences like Ozobots move with color codes. Ozobots are fun. Ozobots, so it depends where they are in the reading and writing process. That it's where last year they were not here yet, so I would use a sentence that was more simple than this particular passage.
So
Yes, pictures. Definitely, Crystal. We can definitely use pictures with so we have pictures around the room. Definitely the pictures or the visuals are extremely important, and we have those. It's just that for the way I've been assessing them, the day they take the S back, there are going to be no pictures. So I use pictures with Google Slides, with Apple TV for the vocabulary. Definitely, we also do a lot of TPR, total physical response. So we're gonna move left, we're gonna move right, we're gonna go up, we're gonna go down. They dance around like the robot. They move. They start coding like if they were the Ozobots. But for the particular assessments, I try to do it as challenging as possible. because that's how we're getting the results so when they are faced with that assessment, they are able to champion that assessment. But yeah, labels, definitely the labels are around the classroom. Definitely. Definitely,
so
Crystal. And let me see.
right now that Mr. Stone shared that, you'll notice it says you can't edit it. So you're like, I want to use this in order to make my own presentation, for example, Crystal. So what I did earlier is, open it up, you make a copy for yourself right here, just make a copy. And now I have one that I can change as I need it. I can, you know what, I don't want this part. And so you could use it to break it up into different slides for different activities every day, expand on it, add visuals as you see fit. So you don't think, oh, well, it's just for me to look. I'm at the copy it piecemeal or whatever. No, you can just make a copy and turn that document already into a visual document. And yeah, I agree, Christine. I think you can just grab it. You could even turn it into a slideshow where you put that picture of the Ozobot diagram and just use little white pieces that you can put on it, either using Google Slides or like Canva or Adobe Express, and then just reveal it as the kids work on that. And then you guys can review it together. And then they really understand the ins and outs of the robot.
Yeah, Christine, definitely the graphic that labels and explains the parts of the Ozobot, it's an excellent idea as a good springboard for a writing activity. And those of you that know your students in your classroom, you're gonna merge all your ideas and your practices and your processes to any new knowledge that you have learned today. Definitely.
Any other questions?
We are right at 1 hour. And so, on behalf of everyone who got to listen to your expertise, we just thank you so much, Jesus and Robert, for sharing. This was so enlightening and wonderful. So, a lot of gratitude your way. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Everyone, have a lovely rest of your day.